Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Amanda and I'm from Amanda Crochets, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to make this Fleece Moss Stitch Scarf. This scarf measures approximately 8 inches across by 40 inches long. However, you can always customize this and make it thinner or make it longer or shorter depending on your preference. And this scarf is super soft and has a lot of texture to it. And you only need one skein of yarn for this, so it's a very quick and easy project. So if you see close up, you see all the different texture, and that's just by making the 2 different stitches that we're going to be learning how to make today. It's super soft and squishy yarn, and you can make this in any color that you want. And this is super bulky, so it works up quick, like I said. If you wanted to use a different yarn, you are more than welcome to do that, as well as using a different color. I just wanted to use this as this is what I had, and I've never used this yarn before, so let's get into the details and learn how to make the Fleece Moss Stitch Scarf. So the yarn I'm using today is Bernat Forever Fleece, and this is a 100% polyester yarn. This is 9.9 ounces or 280 grams, 194 yards, or 177 meters. It is classified as a super bulky number 6, and the recommended hook size is a US M or N 13 or 9 millimeter. And this is called Dark Eucalyptus. The yarn that I used, the color is Rose Hip. So I'm just showing a different color here. There are a few colors available in this yarn line, so again, you could choose whatever color you like. This is a really nice aqua greenish color. Now, like I said, this is my very first time using this type of yarn, and let me tell you, it is a dream to work up. It is super soft. It works up quickly. I really enjoyed this yarn a lot, and I felt like it went through the stitches went through my crochet hook very nicely. I didn't have any problem with frogging my yarn if the project wasn't going as well as I would like, or if I missed a stitch or something like that. So I really like this yarn and I highly recommend it. I think it would be good for beginners just because it's a thicker yarn and you can see your stitches a little bit more clearly. But for more seasoned crocheters like myself, it also works up very nicely, like I said. So I highly recommend using this yarn. And then you're also going to need a size M/N 9 millimeter crochet hook. And this is the Clover Amour. Okay, so let's go ahead and begin with the slip stitch. And like I said, you're going to use one full skein of this yarn for your project. If you wanted to make your project longer, you're going to need an additional skein, but I used my skein up until I had very little left and I could not make any more rows. So once you have your slip stitch, we can go ahead and begin the chain. So I went ahead and chained 18. If you wanted to make your scarf wider or more narrow, you will just make your chain in a multiple of 2. So as long as you have an even number of chains, you can make this scarf as narrow or as wide as you would like. So to make a chain, you're going to do yarn over your hook and pull through. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Continue making chains until you have a total of 18 chains. Okay, so once you have your 18 chains, we can go ahead and begin row 1. For row 1, we're going to go ahead and skip that very first stitch, so that loop on your hook does not count. You're going to count 2 stitches, or 2 chains, so 1 and 2, and in that second chain, you're going to go ahead and make a slip stitch. Now, when you make your slip stitches, you want to make sure that you make them a little bit more loose, so that way when you go in with the next row, you could insert your hook into that stitch. So you're going to go into that second chain from your hook, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and pull through that loop on your hook. In the stitch after that, you're going to go ahead and make a half double crochet. So yarn over your hook, insert your hook into that next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. And now I'm going to be going into that top loop of the chain. I'm not going in the back bump, I'm just going in that top loop. If you wanted to go in that back bump, you can certainly do so, but I'm just going to be going ahead into that top loop right here. So then you're going to repeat this all the way across. So in that next chain, you're going to go ahead and make a slip stitch. So again, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through that loop, and pull through the loop on your hook. Make sure to keep that a little bit more loose so you can work into that stitch on row 2. Next, you're going to yarn over your hook and make a half double crochet. So insert your hook into that next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. So you're going to repeat this all the way across your row, and you're going to end with a slip stitch. So I'll show you one more time. In that chain, in that next chain, you're going to insert your hook, yarn over, pull through that chain, and pull through that loop on your hook. In your next chain, you're going to yarn over your hook, insert your hook into that next chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. So go ahead and repeat that, making a slip stitch in the next chain and a half double crochet in the next. Make sure you end with a slip stitch, and I will meet you at the end of row 1 and begin row 2. Okay, so I'm coming up at the end of my row and I have 2 chains left, so I'm going to make my half double crochet, and in that very last stitch I'm going to be making a slip stitch. So here is what your first row is going to look like. So for row 2, you're going to go ahead and chain 1 and turn. And in that very first stitch, which is your slip stitch, you're going to go ahead and make a slip stitch. So you're going to insert your hook, and if you turn, you can see the 2 loops of that stitch. You're going to go underneath both loops of that stitch, and you're going to make a slip stitch. In that next stitch, which is your half double crochet, you're going to make a half double crochet on top of that stitch. So again, yarn over your hook, insert your hook, make sure you go underneath those 2 loops and make your half double crochet. And then you're going to repeat this across the row. So again, insert your hook for a slip stitch, yarn over, pull through that stitch as well as the loop on your hook, yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3 loops. So you're just going to repeat that all the way across, alternating slip stitch and half double crochet. Okay, so I'm at the end of my row and I have 1 stitch remaining, so I'm going to go ahead and insert my hook and make a slip stitch in that very last stitch. Now if you are having trouble locating your first and last stitches of the row, I highly recommend getting a stitch marker and inserting your stitch markers into the first and last stitch of each row, and then as you make more rows you just move your stitch marker up. So for the very first stitch right here, you could see it's going to be right here with the slip stitch, and in the very last stitch of your row you're also going to be inserting your stitch marker into that slip stitch right here. That way, if you insert your stitch markers as a beginner, you will understand where the first and last stitches are and keep your ends straight. So if you struggle with keeping your ends straight, I highly recommend using stitch markers. And as you could see, our pattern is starting to form a little bit, and you will get that nice texture the more rows that you make. And for row 3 and beyond, you're just going to go ahead and repeat row 2. So row 2, you're just going to make a slip stitch in the very first stitch, and then you're going to make a half double crochet in the next and repeat that across for the entire pattern. Again, I made my scarf as long as I can with one skein, so if you wanted to do that, you can do that as well. Or if you wanted to make it shorter, you're welcome to do that. If you wanted to make it longer, again, you will need an additional skein for that. So repeat row 2 over and over again until you run out of yarn or until your desired length, and I will meet up with you at the end and show you how to end your scarf. Okay, so I'm over at the end of my scarf and I only have a little bit left over. So I have 2 stitches remaining, so I'm going to make my half double crochet and then finally my slip stitch in the very last stitch. Okay, and I did not have to cut my yarn because this is all I have left, but if you have to, you want to make sure you cut a tail a little bit longer since this is a thicker yarn. You're going to yarn over your hook and pull through and tighten. And then you're going to get your stitch marker, or you're going to get your tapestry needle, and you're just going to weave in your ends. Now this is a 1 skein project, so because of this you're only going to have 2 tails to weave in, which is really nice. So for my scarf, or the way I like to weave in my ends, is I just like to go back and forth 3 times, and I just like to go underneath the stitches to really hide that tail. So I go in 3 different directions to really secure that tail and really hide the yarn tail. Now if you are using multiple colors with your project, you want to make sure that you use the same method of weaving in your tails, but you want to keep the colors with the light colors. So say if you're using pink, your pink yarn tail would hide with the pink section of your project, and if you're using, say, a white, then the same concept, you would weave in your white yarn tail with the white yarn section of your project. Okay, so once you feel that your tail is secure, you're going to go ahead and cut that tail off. And you do the same thing with the other tail. And as you can see, it's pretty well hidden. So let me zoom out just a little bit, and then you can see the project. You can see how nice and textured it is. It's very soft and very cozy, which makes it a very nice and warm scarf for the winter season. You can definitely customize this and make this in any color that you would like. If you wanted to use a different yarn, you can certainly do that, and you can make it customizable to be as long or as short as you like, as I said before. So thank you so much for joining me today on learning how to make the Fleece Moss Stitch Scarf. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. Please like, comment, and subscribe to see all future videos by me. And as always, happy crocheting! Bye!